You are listening to the official podcast of the Games Institute at the University of Waterloo. The Games Institute is a research center located at the University of Waterloo, and all of our researchers are doing something with games-related research or interactive technologies. Hi, and welcome back to the Games Institute podcast. Today, I'm sitting here with Tina Chan.
Hi, Marisa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
It's so exciting to have you on. And my name is Marisa Benjamin. As you would have heard in the intro, I do all of the research communications here at the Games Institute. And I have been so excited to get Tina on the podcast because she keeps me busy.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We've got a really, really packed episode. Also, Tobin is here, though he's not sitting behind a microphone today. He's just looking at us, and he's going to do some fact checking, especially if I get some info wrong about games. Yeah, thanks, Tobin.
He made a face.
Yeah. He gave a thumbs up, too. All right. So, I want to start with an icebreaker question to get you thinking about games. So, what games did you play growing up?
Ooh, growing up, I actually came from a household where we're not allowed to play video games. So I never owned any console until I inherited the Xbox 360 last year from my boyfriend. So actually, growing up, let me think. My first game was RuneScape, and that was in 5th grade or 4th grade. So I can't really recall because I was in a grade 4 or 5 split. But it was a role-playing game, a browser game, and I played with my friends after school. And then my second game was the first game I had to download, which was Ragnarok Online. So it is a MMORPG from Korea.
Tobin's nodding.
Nice.
That's what my wife started with, too.
Oh, okay. Kudos to your wife. It's a great game. And it was really interesting at the time because we all played on private servers, so then I'd also have to coordinate with my friends on which private server to play and everything. And then one of my good friends, he did computer science here at the University of Waterloo eventually. He actually created his own private server, so it was actually like my first intro to computers and that sort of thing. Yep. And then after that game, which is really hard to beat in my memory, I played some more RPGs, mostly Korean fantasy, pretty girls, pretty dresses, slaying dragons, lots of magical sounds. That's my jam.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny. You were talking briefly just before we turned on the soundboard and the microphones that you don't self-identify as a gamer necessarily. And it's all relative because you're saying things like RuneScape and you have an Xbox. I have none of those things. Never played RuneScape, though I've heard about it and enjoy being in conversations with people. But I self-identify as a gamer. Because I play card games and board games. So it's all based off of, who you know, everything. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think the definition of what a gamer is kind of varies between like friend groups and culture groups.
Yeah,
like
for
growing
sure.
up, the self-identified like gamers in the playground were like people who played N64 with their older siblings and like people who wore like those pixel game over poning noobs for breakfast t-shirts on the playground, and those people would be the gamers.
Unironically.
Yes, unironically. Those were really edgy children. But in a sense, I was part of a gaming community when I was in later high school. That was more so in like Asian games. Because I guess like I grew up in a city, so Oshawa, where there weren't a lot of like Chinese kids or like Asian kids, and I'm Asian myself. So kind of like playing those Asian games was kind of like a cultural connection for me in some way. But it didn't really match what I saw as like what a gamer looked like on the playground or in the high school cafeteria or whatnot. So yeah,
it's important to bring up because it speaks to the fact that game culture isn't perfect, and there's a lot of barriers to entry. And you find games because you're looking for access to your culture, and then you're even prevented from fully identifying as a gamer in some way. So these are works in progress. Hopefully we're moving towards like a more inclusive, more celebratory games culture.
Yeah, I think so. But there's also another way to look at it. It's because games have become more mainstream than before. So like there is an argument in the, I guess like gaming convention space, the small close-knit community of what it is to be a gamer isn't there anymore because it's so inclusive. So it's like another direction that people are saying is celebrated by some, not celebrated by others, but whether or not gamer identity needs to be an identity.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like, what does it even mean to have a gamer identity since there's no true definition that everybody speaks to?
Yeah.
Interesting. So how did you turn from playing games into studying games and researching games? What was your academic journey, I guess, more broadly speaking?
Okay. So I actually stopped playing games at all when I went into university. It was just like a mindset where I needed to focus on school, and in high school, I guess like gaming took a lot of my time. I didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it, but it's just like a hobby that I wanted to move away from. So then I went into the health sciences program, so in public health at the University of Waterloo. That was
still undergrad? Yes,
this is my undergrad. And then eventually I pursued a master's degree, which I'm completing now, hopefully in 2 months, fingers crossed. It's also in public health and health systems, but it is in an HCI lab. So HCI stands for Human Computer Interaction.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think I first got into gaming research on my third co-op term at the School of Pharmacy, actually, at the University of Waterloo. And they were looking into developing a web app to educate pharmacists on the expanding scope of practice. So at the time, pharmacists couldn't do renewals and adoptions of drugs, but then they could. But many didn't have the confidence or felt like they didn't have the education to do so. So the professor that I was working with, named Dr. Kelly Grindrod, developed an app to, I guess, like, continue education in bite-sized game module format. So it's kind of like a quiz game, and I did some UX work for her. So that was my first entry point into using gamification techniques, which is part of games research, to improve health software. So that was when I fell in love with design.
So you actually have a discrete point in time that you can look to.
Yeah.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that, because usually it's like, oh, I don't know, I just ended up here somehow. So you hadn't been exposed to like games as potentially something integrated into research until that co-op term?
Yes. So it was the first time I heard about the term gamification, and then I thought, oh, okay, it's actually a place where I can apply my own experience from high school playing games into academia.
Yeah, and suddenly you don't have to pick between the two anymore, which, by the way, I would argue nobody ever really has to, because you do need something. You need something fun to offset the work. But yeah, that's really nice that you found a way to marry your two passions.
Yeah. But in a way, I've always been like a health researcher and taken that perspective. So games and gamification and like game mechanics has always been like a means to achieve a health goal for me. Not so much like exploring how to make a game more engaging or more entertaining.
Yes.
It's more so how to make use of like the nice things from gaming into other pro-social problems.
Yeah, and I like that you kind of put that on its head. You flip the paradigm. And I think then, can you talk a little bit about your supervisor and your lab? Because your lab work seems to do similar things.
Yeah, so my supervisor's name is Dr. James Wallace. He goes by Jim. And he started out working with full-size screen displays, but now most of his students, including myself, are in the game space. So he runs a lab called the IDEA Labs in the Applied Health Sciences program. And we all work in, I guess, the space of how can we make technology in ways that is, good for population or individual health.
That's so cool, because it's all about like using the technology to find innovative ways to promote health research. Yeah, some really great stuff coming out of that lab that everybody should be paying attention to. Okay, so what are you currently studying?
Right.
Like currently researching?
Right. So I just finished running some studies for my thesis. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hopefully it goes well. But let's see. So I've always been passionate about the mental health space. So outside of like the formal structure of mental health solutions, I've always been interested in how, I guess, like informal mental health tools can benefit the individual and thus making up the population.
Right. Yeah. And hang on one second here, because what do you mean by informal tools?
Right. So there is two ways to get mental health support from my perspective. So one is going through the formal system. So you go into, okay, I'm just going to use the University of Waterloo, for example.
Yeah.
So if you self-identify with the problem that you want to get professional help on. So for example, if you have overwhelming stress or something like that, you can go see UW counseling services. You'll see a social worker. They'll triage you, suggest things like group therapy, run through the school, a one-on-one face-to-face therapy, and things like that. And then there's also more informal tools like peer-to-peer support, which I'm looking at. A group that does it really well on the UW campus is called, what's it called? UW Mates.
Yeah.
So they're an example of like a more informal mental health support because it's just peers helping peers.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. So you were saying you were using, you were thinking about how you could use gameful thinking for developing informal mental health interventions?
Yeah. So I'd like to get a little bit more specific because like whenever I want to say, I want to gamify a mental health app, there's like so many out there already, and then they all have different ways of looking at it. So specifically, I'm looking into crowdsourcing peer-to-peer support. So there are some perks and benefits to peer-to-peer support over the traditional, I guess, formal help. Mostly you're talking to your peers and you have related experiences, and they don't really follow like a theoretical, I guess, paradigm that formal help does. And there are perks to that because it seems more natural, it seems more supportive, relatable, and depends on who you ask. There's different perks to that. So the problem with peer-to-peer support, one of the problems is that although people are seeking it, there's not a lot of people giving advice. So there's not a lot of people volunteering their time to help people and things like that. And of the people who do volunteer their time and help people, they are usually of a certain subgroup. For example, people who are already mental health advocates, already have gone through the system, like the formal mental health system, or people who have like a genuine interest in mental health. But one of the, I guess, like drawbacks to peer-to-peer support is because everyone helping is very homogenous and have the same experiences.
Yeah.
It'd be very worthwhile to draw in people from other mental health backgrounds. So it could be people who have never experienced a mental health problem, but we all experience stress every day. So getting more diverse perspectives into that peer-to-peer support group, I guess, community would be nice. So the thing that I'm looking at is, can we develop a software or a certain interface that will draw in more people from diverse mental health backgrounds to participate and volunteer their time to help people asking for advice? So that's where gamification comes in for me. Nice. I'm specifically looking at whether or not like an RPG format, like narratives, avatars, and things like that, will persuade people to help other people.
Cool. Okay. So what is the game called that you developed for this study?
Right. So for my participants who are listening, I guess, I never really tell them the name.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But for the paper that I'm going to be writing and in my thesis, I called it Merlin. So it's kind of like a reference to, I guess, Arthur. Yeah. And how his mentor's name is Merlin and helps him out and gives him advice and things like that. But I kind of just feminized it because I like that and I'm a girl.
Yes.
Yeah. So I spelled it Merlynne. So it's just called Merlin.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've seen it.
Oh,
we
thanks.
worked on that poster for the hallway for the public to see, and it's stunning. So we will put a link to how to check out that poster somewhere in the show notes. But yeah, it's really, really great work because you are also a graphic designer. Is that an
I'm an
appropriate term?
illustrator.
Illustrator.
Yeah. So I went through partially an art program through my high school. And then I decided to transition into the sciences. But then I did a lot of volunteer work and like some freelancing throughout my undergrad just to keep my skills fresh. So
nice.
Yeah.
Multi-talented Tina.
Yeah.
Multi-talented Tina. That's a mouthful.
Nice. I guess that's where me and Marisa met. We were part of the same newspaper club together.
Yes. We were both a part of Imprint. I was writing and you were illustrating. Yeah. Which is a great segue because I did want to ask, you do a lot of stuff in your extracurricular time. And you're always busy. And you're always showing up places, which is, I alluded to before, you keep me busy, but yeah, you really do. Like, you do a lot of stuff, and you're a really busy person.
Yeah, I really like to get involved in the community. I feel like
Yeah.
for students who are going to another city for school, it's really important to get outside of your like academic role or your scholarly role and just like learn about the city and like volunteer. And so I pop up here and there.
Nice. And what does that do to help with your research?
That's a really good question. I'm really glad I have the opportunity to talk about this. So I meet a lot of professionals in a social setting. So it could be volunteering for the same event or just, mostly volunteering for the same event. So I mentor a lot of, youth at hackathons and things like that. And so do a lot of professionals. And because we meet in a social setting, when a research opportunity comes up, I'll be like, hey, didn't I meet like so-and-so at this event? I can reach out to them. And usually, volunteer opportunities of the same nature attract the same type of people. So there's always someone like on the same wavelength to collaborate and things like that.
Yeah, I'm recently becoming a huge advocate for networking because I was at True North last week meeting a lot of cool people. You were there too.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have an example of how someone that you met at a social event developed into a research collaborative situation?
Let me think. I feel like most of the people I meet are kind of later on. So I've already developed my research design, things like that. So they don't, benefit me directly. But I have been connecting people like within my research group to make projects and collaborate and things like that. I can give you the most recent example. So like actually at the True North hackathon, I met with a librarian who does some activities at the Kitchener Public Library, and I actually met her through a cybersecurity workshop.
I wanted to go to that, but I missed it.
Yeah, it was amazing because they used the Dungeons and Dragons structure to kind of like give a simulation of a cybersecurity breach, and you're in a company and you have to like decide what to do. It was really great because everyone got roles. I was part of the finance team, so we decided to like get Tim Hortons and ignore the whole breach. Anyways, I was able to like meet a librarian there, and she actually was saying they use D&D to connect youth in the community to like get them in person and develop their social skills.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parents were, complaining to this librarian that, they didn't like seeing their children on the computer all the time and not having those like physical social skills. So then I just mentioned her to another, I can't call him a PhD candidate anymore because he got his PhD, but Dr. John Harris of
previous guest of the podcast.
Nice. Of Playful Pixel to get connected with her and see if he can host anything for the library for connecting seniors and youth using his gaming platforms.
Super cool. Tobin's eyes have perked up because he also studies D&D.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is completely on a tangent, but in Toronto at the ROM, there's actually another individual who uses D&D to teach social skills and negotiation skills for kids with autism. So I think D&D is a great, very powerful educational, system. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people who are interested in it, but don't really have the skill set to host it because being a game master or dungeon master has some skills.
Yeah. Okay. So you unlocked another question for me because you mentioned that they are using D&D to support kids with autism.
Yes.
So what does your research look at specifically in the mental health space? Because we talked about peer-to-peer support, but for what?
Right. Non-severe stress issues or non-severe anxiety, if I were to be specific. But when I say non-severe anxiety, it means that it's not a type of anxiety that would need professional intervention. So whatever I develop, and I feel like whatever anyone develops in the technical space or informal health space or informal mental health space, it's never a substitution for face-to-face professional support.
Okay.
So for my case, for my study exactly, I actually took posts off reddit.com. From the r/u Waterloo Reddit specifically, as well as some other universities, and asked people to respond to these queries.
Oh, that is an awesome research method.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so it's mostly people who want some kind of advice or guidance or, again, peer-to-peer support, but don't feel like they have a mental health issue that needs professional guidance at that point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we circled back to that because I wanted to make sure we talked about that because now I want to dive into the PASS kit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so actually I should just let you free talk about PASS.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I guess in short, the PASS kit is a first aid kit for mental health. So PASS stands for Panic, Anxiety, and Stress Support. And it is a company that I started in 2016. So it was incorporated in 2016, but it actually stemmed from my undergrad thesis, which I did in 2015. So that all started with a pitch competition, which I was really I was new to entrepreneurship. I was really interested in pitch competitions and presentations and things like that.
Cool.
Yeah, so I went into a social entrepreneurship incubator called St. Paul's Greenhouse. And the difference between social entrepreneurship and general entrepreneurship is that the motivation is for a social good. So the core mission of the company is to, do good in the world. And the business model is just a means to do so. Yeah. So the goal that I wanted to see was I wanted more awareness to the urgency of addressing mental health symptoms, like before an illness arises or before an illness gets diagnosed.
Yeah.
I wanted, people to be more aware of the symptoms.
Yeah, because sometimes you can wait up to 6 months before seeing anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months is even a conservative estimate. Yeah. So what is inside of the PASS kit?
Yeah. So this stemmed from my undergrad thesis, and the items that we decided to put in was the foam stress star, which could be used in progressive muscle relaxation. I get the question a lot saying do stress, those squeezy stress toys actually do anything for stress? And I always answer only if done properly.
Yeah, because I know I fidget with my hands, and so fidget spinners and fidget cubes are very helpful, and I imagine stress balls do something similar where you can channel energy.
Yeah.
But you weren't speculating, were you? You did, research.
Yes. It was a thesis, so I had to draw on some theoretical components, which I think all product designers should in some way. Okay, so aside from the stress ball, which is in the shape of a star for us, we also have a package of chewing gum, and it has the same mechanism of exercising your jaw muscles, promoting blood flow, lessening anxiety symptoms. We actually partnered with a Toronto chewing gum company called Pure Gum.
Oh.
Yeah, so the reason we did that is because, one, they're local and we want to support Canadian businesses as well. And also they used a type of sweetener called xylitol, which doesn't spike your blood sugar, so it doesn't mimic the anxiety symptoms. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm impressed by the depth of research and consideration you put in.
Yeah. And then we also have a sleeping mask and earplugs to help students sleep in noisy dorms, and also for people who are sensitive to noise and light. Yep. And then lastly, we have a deck of flashcards, which are based in CBT. So CBT stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. And I explore that a bit more in my thesis as well. So I guess whenever we have a negative thought, it is linked to certain behaviors and feelings, and it's not always a bad idea to question your own thoughts and say I'm super, super anxious. Is it because I'm actually a failure and all these negative thoughts? Or is it because I just haven't drank water in the last 7 hours or something like that? So in our flashcards, we give people prompts to question themselves and rethink their thoughts, and then they've been well received.
Again, I imagine that being very helpful, because sometimes I'll think that I'm super, super anxious and then forget that I've had 4 coffees in the past hour.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some personal stuff, but then totally. It's so good what you're doing. And what's up with the PASS kit these days?
Right. I'm just thinking what I can and cannot say. Sorry.
You can say. No, I'm just kidding. Stick with what you can.
Okay. Let's see. So we I guess we were in the orientation packages of all University of Waterloo first years last year,
Nice.
and there are steps to repeat that this year. We were also in some other schools. We have been for a couple of years, but now we're expanding internationally as well.
That's
So
awesome.
we're actually in some schools in Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and a couple in the States. And I'm really excited to see it gone further. Oh, one in South Korea as well. So I'm really
great.
excited about that one.
For those of you listening, both Tobin's eyebrows and my eyebrows are like raised to the roof. That's awesome.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
When you say we, who else is we?
Okay, so I started off with some co-founders, but then they had other endeavors that they personally wanted to go to. So one of them went to medical school, so
Not
cheers
too
to
bad.
you. Yeah. And then another went off to do his own venture, which is like kudos to him as well.
Yeah.
So I always like say we because I don't think it's ever like a I thing. Like even if I had no team members, like I couldn't get this far without the support of the community and just like my business mentors, my mental health mentors. It's really interesting because when you're running a social enterprise, there's always people who are willing to help, especially on the topic of mental health. There's always someone who has been impacted in your immediate social circles. So everyone's interested in helping. So
Yeah,
I
that's
always
good
say
to
we.
hear. I'm glad you have that experience. Oh, and you also talked at TEDx UW about Passkit. So once that link comes out, I don't know if that video is published yet.
It's up. It was out a few months earlier.
Nice. Okay, so we'll link that in the show notes because you go into some more detail about how that developed and where you went with it and everything. So yeah, we'll put that in the show notes because that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is going to be, or do you think that you will be able to connect your work and your master's thesis with the work that you're doing with Passkit?
I purposely try not to actually because like when I came into graduate studies, I want to say like it was like a new learning experience, and I tried to like, okay, so I know this works with tangible tools, informal tools, and in a business perspective, but as a graduate student, I was looking at education, so it was more like personal development. So I want to say I didn't have a lot of experience with like human computer interaction, and I wanted to like just go into that field and like start from anew, thinking like what other solutions to this mental health problem can I find, and like try to like leave Passkit out of it and say like kind of like remove the biases and like open myself to new solutions.
Yeah.
So in my mindset, that was what I was trying to do. And I guess I was always shy about entrepreneurship in the graduate school space. Just
People
like,
tend to think that those have to stay separate, which, to each their own.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it does actually, the way you explain it, makes a lot of sense that they are separate because on the one hand you're thinking about like material objects, and then on the other hand you're thinking about like a software, a game, a digital game.
Yeah. I want to say one thing. So one thing the Passkit can't do is I can't connect people like in the ways that technology can, especially with emerging technologies. So I really want to explore like how can we use technology in a way to bring people together into that mental health dialogue.
Yeah, that's really important because you represent even two different points toward the same thing, which is those preliminary interventions before somebody can go and get formal training or professional training or counseling. Even they don't need to be down that route. Hopefully they aren't. So yeah, you represent two different examples of the interventions that come in an earlier stage. Do you know of any other games that have inspired you, or maybe companies that have inspired you that are doing similar work?
Yes, so there are a few products that I came across like in my academic research. So these have all been, I guess, academically peer reviewed in some way. One is Super Better by Dr. Jane McGonigal. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think I've heard of her research. Do you know if she's the scholar who talks about how glasses are like augmenting the human experience?
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that. So.
I'll have to look that up. Anyway.
Okay. So she described how like game thinking, like try your best, do the next step, do the next level, reward yourself, like that kind of thing, helped her get over a concussion that she had. And then because of that, she was inspired to develop a game called Super Better. It's an app. It's a downloadable mobile app that helps people stick to habits or like overcome something or pain management, things like that. Yeah. Another, I wouldn't necessarily call it a game, but another platform that inspired my research a lot is by Dr. Morris. He's at MIT right now. And the research that he did for his thesis, his PhD dissertation, is called Panoply. And it's basically crowdsourcing people in a Stack Overflow format to help each other with their mental health issues or mental health struggles. And yeah, the research is really, really good. So he found like there was much more therapeutic value in peer-to-peer support for non-severe cases over trained volunteers talking to people.
Oh, yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah. So it was eventually commercialized into a product called KokoBot, KOKOBOT. And it uses a chatbot kind of format to encourage you to talk to other people.
Yeah. Now chatbots are interesting too. BetterHelp, I think, is the chatbot.
I'm not familiar with that one, but
no, BetterHelp might be the phone. I'll have to look it up, and maybe we can even share the link in the show notes later too. But there's a lot of artificial intelligence systems that are being advertised to me on Instagram, of all places, to use as support. So, you know, there's like the classic ad of being inundated with text messages, and then all of a sudden you get a text message from your chatbot that says, "Hey, are you ready to talk?" And then you have like an online conversation or a digital conversation with an AI. And some people are really, really liking it. Some people not so much. Do you have any opinions about that?
I have a personal opinion about it.
Yeah.
I feel like chatbots are really good for replacing things that are, I guess, like following a script and like very systematic. So for example, getting a good price on a house or a car, or I don't know, ordering a taxi maybe. But I feel like when it comes to emotional matters and like, I guess like mental health matters, there's personal friendship kind of like matters. I don't think that they're yet. And I feel like it's going to be very hard for them to get there just because humans evolve and AI and chatbot, I could be wrong right now, but it's developed based on data that we already have. And I don't think that we have enough data to say what is the best thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it can get dangerous in that when we like classify like mental health indicators and optimize like the best thing to say.
Yeah, and for a personal opinion, that was very well informed, because that is true. People forget that there are always people behind who's programming these systems. And so if we don't necessarily know what to say to somebody who's, you know, having a panic attack, or somebody who's feeling very anxious, or somebody who's, you know, in a phase of depression, like then the chatbot isn't going to spontaneously know those things, because it's building off of a foundation that we create. So that's interesting. We'll have to see. And I mean, things tend to work for some people that don't work for others at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is there any other work that you wanted to shout out?
Not really. I can't really think of one right now.
How about opportunities that you've noticed around the industry or in academia where we could be doing more work?
Let me think. I can be very specific, like to the HCI field.
Sure.
I think like I think you pointed it out, but it's a place for lots of innovation, lots of like new designs and things like that. But in the field, academically speaking, it hasn't been repeated that often. So it's like the problem of replicability.
Yep.
And I think it's not the only field that suffers from it, but because it's such a new field, like relative to like more like relative to the health sciences, you have people coming up with really, really great innovative designs, and often the sample size is arguably very small, but it's like really innovative, and like if it could work, like how to say, it's in a very reliable manner, then it could easily like change the world. But there is a struggle. There's a struggle to repeat it.
Yeah, there's a rush for being novel, to have the newest thing and to push for something more, more. And this often happens with emergent fields. There's nobody who is, I mean, nobody is extreme. There isn't a large trend of people who are looking at what's already been done and replicating it and testing to see if it could be reproduced. Yeah, so that's important. Anybody listening, if you're thinking about a research project, there you go.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is that for all like repeated studies papers, the acceptance rate is lower for them. So
yeah, and that's something that needs to change structurally with the field. But also, like at a smaller group level, more courses that teach people about the importance of reproducing studies, more publications that take in those submissions, because they're very, very important. And what this trend tends to do is it privileges the studies with positive results, and then you don't publish the studies with null results. And those null result studies are very, very important and informative too. So, yeah, listeners, please help.
Yeah.
Okay. For the sake of time, let's close off with something more fun. And I say that cheekily because I'm going to ask you about what games you play now.
Oh, what games do I play now?
Yeah, assuming you have time.
Oh, yikes. Oh my gosh.
You're not playing Pokemon Go? Come on.
I'm not playing Pokemon Go. I used to, but then data plan. I'm sorry, guys.
They got better with that. It's not soaking up so much data anymore.
I wasn't there when the update. I already quit when they updated it then.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, there is one game that I have on my phone, and it's no longer updated. It's called Alpaca World HD Plus, and you can raise your own alpaca, dress them up in a farm, and then you can like go and battle other alpaca. Tobin's laughing.
What is this called? Yeah, Tobin's laughing. Do you have something to say to that?
It's amazing.
No, he's shaking his head, just smiling. It's called
Alpaca World HD Plus.
I can't even say it. So, Alpaca World HD Plus.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it because they stopped updating the features.
Oh, too late. I'm going to play.
Perfect. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Other than that, yeah, it's hard to say. Words with friends with my mom. I don't know.
Words with friends. Okay, maybe I lied because there is one more additional question I need to ask you. How does playing these games inform your research, and how does like your research inform the way you play games?
Oh,
I know it's a tough one.
Let me think on that. So how do the games I play kind of inform my research? Okay. Let me think. I think one thing I noticed between games, not necessarily the games I play, but like even just talking to my friends who are really into, I don't know, Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, and things like that, is that the game community really matters. So there are some games which have a community where it, I guess, like promotes players helping each other, a more serious tone, sharing things in their personal lives, etc. But there's also some games where it's really difficult for people to establish like that online friend relationships, and it's partly cultural. So it's like who were the first players on the game, and they kind of like set the tone. But sometimes it's also down to the interface. So for example, one person mentioned to me that on like Twitch TV and like the streams, it's really hard to have a conversation because there's like 100 people chatting at once. So all you're gonna do is like spam emojis or like whatever the slang of the day is. So it's really hard to like build relationships with people. But then you have more like toned down games like World of Warcraft, and then you have like a guild, and inside you have like these relationships between people, and it's often that you would share like personal details, not like personal like privacy details, but like more like I gotta go to school now and that kind of thing.
So it's not like the Guild, that YouTube series.
Depends on who the player is. Like I've heard of some love stories, like he started off at World of Warcraft, like, oh, I met my wife in this guild and things like that, nice, which cute. Is like really sweet. But it's hard to imagine that happening on like, I don't know, Twitch TV or like Overwatch servers. It's just like the tone and like the cultural expectations of a game community really, I guess, like is important. So that kind of drives my research in targeting like who are the people that I want using platforms that we developed in our lab, and how can we facilitate that possibility of like people helping people in my peer-to-peer support context outside of the lab study setting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a great answer.
Well, thank you.
I also never pay attention to that type of thing, and now I'm going to start looking for it in the games I play, which right now is Pokemon Go. Be paying attention to how people interact with one another and if there is interaction. It's really cool. And how the interface supports that type of thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Was there anything that you wanted to add?
Yes, just a plug for people who don't know how to make games or have no technical experience but play games and feel like it's too far away. Just try. Nice. Like I came from a very, very clinical public health background, and I started making games in Unity and learning how to code. I think just taking that step towards the scary technical bits is very important. So yeah, encouraging everyone, especially women.
Yeah. And for those of you who are going to take that advice seriously, I'm also going to set out on that journey myself and try and learn how to make some games. And we have Game Dev Club here. And we also have the GI Jam, which happens once per term, and that's open to the public. But there are so many different ways to learn. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Where can people find you?
Find me as a person?
Well, Twitter handle or wherever else you would want.
Okay, so my Twitter handle is my traditional Chinese name, so @LongTingChan. And I can be found in EC1 Games Institute until the end of October.
Oh yeah, you mean like actually where people find you?
Find me. I'm always happy to talk.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. And now we say goodbye.
Goodbye.